So I do want to tell you just a little bit about what we're doing, and because it's different than what we've done in a while. If you are used to coming to our Digital Learning and Integration Network meetings, our DLIN meetings right after the Techie meeting, this is going to take the place of those. We wanted to make sure we were getting this into the hands of everybody that could use the information and not have to rely on one person to bring that back to the campus, because we know sometimes that is just not possible. Your time is so limited, and it's really hard to do that. So we thought doing a lunch and learn might allow you to share this material in an easier way, because we are recording these. So you can share the link with the recording with your staff or your coworkers and colleagues, or you can invite them to attend if they have the time. Now, I know 11:30 doesn't work for everybody, and that's why we are going to make sure we record that. So we're going to have kind of like a little hub, a Google site that I'm using for all the materials, but it's also going to be where the recordings will live as well. So you'll be able to use this hub, or you can send the link to the video, or you can, however you would like to use this information, you can do it. But what we're hoping is in a short, like 30-minute format, we'll give you a couple of tech tips and tools that may be new, and maybe just reminders that you can take back either to your classroom if you're a teacher, or if you are something like an instructional coach or technology specialist, that you can share with your staff. And so I know we do have a lot of different kind of roles in the room. So I am going to, maybe if I can find it, I'm going to start. I have a poll. Let's see if I can find it. Where's my polls? Polls. All right. Quick poll here. I hope it launched. Chelsea House here from Region 9 is joining me. For those that don't know, I'm Christy Johnson from Region 9. So we're going to kind of lead this together. Chelsea, give me a thumbs up if you can see the poll. No, not yet. Launch would be helpful. How about that? Okay, first question is just tell me your role. I'd like to kind of know who's in the room joining us live today. Now, like I said, we are recording this, so we'll have some different roles that can watch later, and that's perfectly fine. But give me just a second to do this. And then I do have a quick question about how often you use AI, just for my kind of curiosity here. All right, so we've got tech directors or tech specialists and instructional coaches, which makes sense because you're the ones who probably can step out of a room right now and do this, whereas a teacher can't do that yet, and that's fine. And then, all right, a few times a month, and daily is winning on the AI. All right, fantastic. I'm going to go ahead and end that. That tells me just a little bit about who I've got in the room, so we can do that. All right, so here's, like I said, here's the way this is going to work. I've got this hub built, this site. It is the home page is here, so you have a couple of bit.lys you can use to get to it. So this one will always be available, and you can find our schedule. Now, currently, nothing else is scheduled past today, because I'm actually going to ask you to fill out a survey before we leave today that tells me how often you'd like to see these, and just a little bit of details about what you would like to see, because I want to be super purposeful in these. And if we're going to do, spend the time doing them, I want them to be something that really makes sense for you. So this is the home. Then you can click over to the schedule. And once we have decided how often we want to have these, I'll have the full schedule here with all the links to join the Zooms here in the same spot. But for now, all we have is today. And so here's today's hub. Today, we're just going to talk for a little bit about what AI can do for you if you're not using it regularly. And we'll talk about a couple of classroom instances as well that you might share with your colleagues as well. Specifically, we're going to look at just a couple of tools that I absolutely love. And if you've seen them, please feel free to chime in on how you're using them. But we're going to talk about Brisk Teaching and Magic School. Now, Magic School has been around a long time, so I'm just going to show you a couple of new tools that they have. But Brisk Teaching might be one that you haven't seen yet. So hopefully you are seeing my whole screen, right? Okay. So I'm going to come in here to Magic School first, just because I think that's the one we've probably been using the most. But they do have some new tools. So if you click down here now you'll notice that they've done a couple of things. They've kept your favorites at the top, and they've moved the little category bar down just a little bit. So you have to kind of scroll here to find new, but you'll see that they have a section now just for the new tools that they've added. A couple of them that And some of them have already bumped off of new when they really aren't that new or that old. So I'm going to back up just a second because one of the ones that I hadn't seen a lot of is this presentation generator. And this is new to Magic School. Now you've probably seen AI presentation generators in other tools, but this is the first one that Magic School has. So when you click on it, you can pick your grade level, how many slides you want, and a standard. And now I have given myself a cheat sheet of a standard to use today, just so that I have one available. So I'm going to drop in a 5th grade science standard. And I can actually say include questions throughout, so that it knows that I want it to be interactive. And then I can hit generate, and it's going to create a presentation for me. Now, what I will say, it's creating essentially an outline for you. And so that may or may not be what you want. But the thing is, there are so many that you can, so many ways you can get this into different slides. But you can hit now to export to slides, and it is going to do it for you. It's going to export it to Google Slides. It takes just a second, and it may ask me to log into my Google account. But it does a decent job of creating a good skeleton. Now, is it complete? Probably not. It's not adding a lot of graphics or anything like that. But those are things that are pretty easy for you to add, and it's just giving you the outline format here. It's not perfect, I will say that. Like the question here is off the page, but we can easily change the font. In the grand scheme of things, like I said, is it perfect? No, but it is a great starting place for that standard to create. So that's one new tool that I really liked in Magic School. And then the other one is under the new category. And it's right here, this support goals creator. Now, I actually talked to one of our behavior specialists, Janelle Walta, earlier about this one. And so I'm going to show you an idea that she gave me that you might enter into this particular tool. Now, it tells you it's to create SMART goals tracker that's aligned to the needs of your students. And so something you might enter in, and I'm copying my little cheat sheet here. This is a suggestion she gave me. You might want to track with a particular student who's struggling self-regulation, task completion, staying in their own area, and verbal aggression. So those would be the behaviors that you're wanting to have goals for and wanting to monitor. And so let's say this is a 5th grade student. We want 5 goals. So we're going to hit generate, and it's going to create us a little chart with the goals, how often we monitor it, and then give us a place to take those notes. Now, what Janelle was telling me is this is a great starting place for teachers to use with their students. It would need to be customized to that student, especially with the actual percentages and number of what you're expecting to see. But she said it was a great starting place. So I thought, how cool is that you can just say, here's where they're struggling, and then you've got your goals created for you. And the goals are pretty typical of what you would see on any kind of documentation. By the end of the semester, the student will use self-regulation techniques to calm down within 5 minutes of becoming upset 4 out of 5 times. So it's specific, it's measurable, attainable, relevant, and timely. And those are the things that we're looking for in those SMART goals. So I think that's a great tool. Has anybody used this one, or does anybody want to kind of comment on that? I'm going super fast, I know. So I love that and it doesn't do it the same way every time. So like, by the end of the semester, the student will complete assigned tasks given within the time frame 80% of the observed instances. So it's giving you some options on how you measure it. Absolutely. 2 options for the task completion. So you could say, this is the one I want to use. You don't have to use them all. And the great thing is you can regenerate these every time it's, different things that you need. So, but I thought that's great place to start. A couple other tools that maybe aren't as new in Magic School and I always lose it because I haven't put it as a favorite yet, is now that the Adobe Express has, I don't want to say they've merged, but they have integrated their image generator tool with Magic School. So you can actually use that tool kind of within a tool, and you can say text to image, and you can tell what image you want. It might be maybe a character from a book or something that ties to your school. I think Christy Oz is in here. She used the Adobe Express image generator to create mascots doing certain activities. So their Jack Sparrow Tiger mascot doing different things. And so you could do that and use those in your classroom. Maybe you want to use it to kind of like model your rules in your classroom, your procedures in your classroom. So you could have your mascot, I don't know, putting away their supplies or something along those lines, just as a way to really be creative. Yes, I love it. You can use it within, Canva has that same tool, that text to image tool as well. And like I said, you can go to Adobe Express and use it, separately, but I just love that it's all like in one place here at Magic School. So if you're already using Magic School to, design quizzes or slides or whatever the case may be, then this is just built right in with that. So, and it works really well. It's a lot of fun to play with. So, okay, I'm going to go ahead and flip over to the next tool, and it's Brisk Teaching. How many of you, just maybe a little thumbs up or a reaction, have used the Brisk Teaching? And I don't know if I'm going to see reactions or not, so good luck. And my little toolbar is right on here. Okay, so Brisk Teaching is a Chrome extension. It is, so you go to the Chrome Web Store. It's Brisk Teaching, and you're looking for this little black logo. Chelsea's dropping in the direct link to this. Awesome, Wendy. People are starting to kind of take on to it. It's a little bee with an arrow in it, this little black icon. I've already installed it, so mine doesn't say install, but you would add to Chrome if you haven't installed it yet. And what this looks like is anytime you are in a Google product, like a form or a document or a slides, you will see that little bee in the it starts off in the bottom corner, but you can move it. So I'm going to go into, actually, I'm just going to open a new tab, and I'm going to go to forms.new. That's just a quick way to open up a brand new Google form. And what you'll see, hopefully, is my little bee will pop up right here. That's the Brisk extension. When you click on it, you can see what options you have. So I can say, add more questions, and I'm going to use that same standard. Nope, that's the behavior one. Let me grab the standard real quick. I'm going to use that same standard from 5th grade science to create a quiz. I want it to be multiple choice, and just for time's sake, I'm just going to have it do 5 questions for us. And then I'm going to click on brisket. And yes, we laughed at this because it sounds very Texan to say brisket, but that is what it is. So you hit brisket, and it's going to create your questions. Now, because I'm in an existing form, it did leave me one blank one that I can easily delete, but you'll notice that now I have 5 multiple choice questions on that standard. The great part is, where's my questions? Usually it gives me the correct answers, but it did not. You know why? Because I didn't make it a quiz, but that's okay. Here's my answer key. It did not do it correct. It did not give me the correct answers. If you do this from a Google Doc first and say make a quiz, it gives you the correct answers. So there's lesson 1 learned today. But here's the cool part I love about this. You've got 5 multiple choice questions. Now I can say add on, and I can say add a couple of short responses, and it's going to just keep that same standard, and it's going to add those short responses for you as well. Like I say, if you do this from a doc first, and let's just do the docs.new, and I'll show you what that looks like real quick. And you tell it to make a quiz, it will give you the correct answers. So it just looks like this. You click here, you say create, and you want to create a quiz. Same standard. Let's do multiple choice, 5 questions. I'm doing it the same way, but this way it's going to ask me new form, and this will turn it into a quiz without having to switch it. So same thing. But for whatever reason, if you do it this way, you will get that quiz look, and so your questions will be answered for you as well. So you'll have your answer key. There it is. Now it's correct. So there's that. So that is just making a quiz. The other thing that a lot of people are really, really liking is the Brisk feature. So I'm in a document now, and this one is, let's say Tommy Joe has turned this writing assignment in. I can click this little Brisk icon, and notice now inspect writing is an option. And when I click on inspect writing, it is telling me how it was done, how long it took, how much they pasted. Now you're also going to see I've interacted with this document quite a bit. So you also saw that I pasted in some glows and grows as well. But the cool part is right here, I can see that they pasted a whole chunk. Now, just because they pasted it doesn't mean they cheated. but it is a time for a conversation. Where did you get this information from? They may have had another document that they were doing like rough drafted and copying and pasting over, but they may not have. They may have borrowed this from somewhere, whether it's a website or ChatGPT or something along those lines. So it's definitely a great place to say, hey, where did you get this information? Oh, you got it from a website. Let's talk about how we cite our sources, how we say, that we got our information from somewhere else. So it's a great way to kind of see that. It's also, like I said, just a great way to see their process on how they wrote something. But then you can also, let me go back. You can also use this same tool, still in the same document, same tool, using Brisk. I can also use it to give feedback on that assignment. So let's say that Tommy Joe here, we talked to Tommy Joe, and he said that he copied and pasted. He could show us his other document where he had done his work. So it's all his work, original work, and we want to give him some feedback. We can actually input a rubric into this, and it will grade something, assess it on that rubric, or we can just do more of a general glow and grow. You can tell what standard you're using so that it knows like what you're trying to do. Now, I don't believe this is the same standard, so I probably don't want to do that. But let's say we're looking for main idea and details instead. And we can say risk it. And so it's going to give me glow, a grow, and something I'm wondering. And you can do a lot of different things with this. I can copy just one or two of these pieces and just use it as a comment, or I can put it down below. But if I choose to insert, I can actually insert that whole chart up at the top to give them feedback. It's fully editable, so you can go in here and tailor it to that student, tailor it to what you've been talking about in class, but that provides some feedback pretty quickly for anything that's in a Google Doc. You could also have this, assess for mechanics, for grammar. It just really depends on what your goals are with that particular assignment. So Brisk is such an easy, I don't want to say easy, but it's such a quick way to provide feedback, to create new things. And you can just keep adding to it. So even here, if I was in this document, I can create something. And there's lots of options that I can create. So maybe you want to create an example for your students, an exemplar, and then you want to create questions based on that. Like you can just keep adding to it and it will let you do that. And I think that's really good. They have added some new tools that are in the free version. The Math Spiral and the Math Word Problems are new. And those are super helpful. Anything with a star by it, though, is behind the paywall. Now, I will tell you, though, I keep getting like emails saying, hey, how about 30 days of free pro and things like that. So you could probably get pretty lucky and get a code or something sent to you at some point that will allow you that pro access. But both of the things I showed you, both Magic School and Brisk, were free versions. I do not have the paid versions of those, and I'm not even in a trial or anything like that. That's just what I have. So what questions can I answer? I know that was really fast and furious, but what questions can I answer about either of these tools? No questions. That's a good thing, right? Okay. So here's what I kind of want, when we're thinking about AI, I know AI is the buzzword these days. It's the hot topic and it's what everybody is kind of thinking about. And there are so many tools out there that it's easy to get overwhelmed. And I love that there's a lot of tools. That means there's lots of options and choices. But I know that going through each of them and deciding, is this helpful? Is it working? Is really difficult. And so that's where we have to kind of use teacher judgment and use what works best for us. I have found that these two are pretty robust, pretty, solid in their understandings of education and teachers. And so I feel like those are two that I'm comfortable saying, hey, these are two you can use. That doesn't mean, though, that there aren't others out there. So by all means, explore. But when you're exploring, just keep in mind, all the things that we know about teaching and what's best in education. Is it robust? Is it rigorous? Does it align with standards, or can you make it align with standards? You have that option. And so those are some things that I think are, super important to keep in mind. Okay, so that brings us to my last little thing that I would like to make sure we have time for. And that is, if you are still on this little hub site, whether you're on September 9th or the homepage, either one should have the survey available. I would love for you to fill out this R9 EdTech Lunch and Learn Preference Survey. It's just asking kind of, and Chelsea's dropped the link in to the chat for you to make it even easier so you don't have to navigate to the site if you're not there. This will help us kind of just know how often we want to do these. We are going to keep them short and sweet because we know A, lunches aren't very long when you're in a school building. And B, if you're watching the recording, which we hope you do, your time is valuable. And so we want to give you the tips and the tricks and the things that you want to know in a very short, succinct way and let you practice and utilize them and get on with your day. So that's our goal with these lunch and learns. We will keep the recordings available on this site. So where it currently says, click here to register, when I'm done, I'll have a link that says, click here to watch, and you'll be able to watch the video instead. And so that's kind of the plan for how this is going to work. Each session will have its own little page, and the videos after the fact will be uploaded there, and everybody will have access to them. So it should act as a great repository for some technology tips and tricks and tools and all the good stuff to go.